You're listening to Three Kitchens Podcast, hosted by Aaron Walker and Heather Dyer. Tune in weekly to get inspired and make good food.
Hello and welcome once again to Three Kitchens Podcast. I'm Heather. I'm here with my lovely co-host Erin.
Good morning.
Hello, Erin.
Hello, Heather.
And guess what day is coming up? It's the day that we tend to forget. It's not like top of mind, but we hope others remember. And it is Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. That's right. When I told my husband, oh, we have to squeeze in this recording for Mother's Day, he stopped me dead in my tracks and said, oh my God, is that coming up soon?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, my husband called me the other day and was like, okay, so Mother's Day is on whatever day. I'm like, oh, is it? And I honestly didn't remember. And he goes, is it okay if I take a shift that day? Someone wants me to work for him. I'm like, yeah, because he's celebrating Mother's Day. What are you doing? No, but it was fine. I said,
That's
sure,
so funny.
I don't care. We can do Mother's Day a different day, or if we don't, I don't really.
So I have some fun facts about Mother's Day to share with you. I hope that everybody looks at our Instagram over the next week because I've been saving some good pictures and memes that make me laugh about being a mom.
Oh, good.
So I hope that everyone will go tune into that. But for people outside of Canada and the US, we celebrate Mother's Day in May on the second Sunday of May. I can never keep track of it, so I was glad somebody wrote it out. What is the most popular gift to give on Mother's Day, Heather?
I'm going to say flowers.
Ooh, no, cards. But flowers is a close second, I think. Mother's Day marks the most what? What increases? Almost 40% on Mother's Day.
I'm going to say phone calls.
Yeah, you got it.
Everybody call your mom.
Everybody has to call your mom. It's also the busiest day for restaurants because
moms don't want to cook. Yeah, exactly. And apparently the rest of the family doesn't want to take it over for
nobody else is interested in trying to do what we do.
Mom said, no, I'd actually like to enjoy my meal. So let's just go out.
Mom doesn't want to do the dishes and clean the kitchen tomorrow.
Exactly.
After you've made a disaster in it. Yeah. And for the things that make us a mom, what day of the week are the most babies born on?
Oh, interesting. I'm trying to think of what day of the week were my babies born on.
Oh, I don't even know the day of the week.
I think it might have been a Sunday and the other might have been a Wednesday, but I honestly forget. I know my own birth was on a Sunday, so I'm going to guess Sunday.
Okay, and I was born on a Friday, I'm fairly sure, but the answer is Tuesday, so there you go.
Tuesday is kind of like the worst day of the week, so maybe that's why.
Maybe that's why we hate Tuesdays so much.
Somehow it brings in some like reptile brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the highest number of babies that have been born at one time?
Oh, to one mother?
To one mom.
I remember there was that octo mom who was so that was what, 8? I'll go with 8. I don't actually know.
It's one more than that. It's 9.
Holy shit. Can you imagine?
No.
How does that even happen?
It was bad enough having my internal space taken up by one parasite.
Oh my God. That's awful.
In terms of birth month, because I thought this was fun, which month are the most babies born in the US?
March?
August.
Oh.
Which is when I'm born.
What happened 9 months before that?
Winter.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
And what months are the least number of babies born in the US?
How about April? I don't know.
February, when your birthday is.
I was born in February, yeah. And in Calgary, or in Alberta, I'm going to guess, 9 months after the Calgary Stampede. We always joke that there's a baby boom.
And there is a noticeable baby boom after Stampede. So the first year that Mother's Day was celebrated in North America, they say is 1908.
Oh.
So just over 100 years.
100 years of being forgotten until the last minute. 100 years of terrible homemade cards and like
Egg cartons refashioned into
plant pots.
some things.
Because it's spring, you always get like
You always get plants.
some little, yeah, like a half an egg with something planted in it, that kind of thing that never grows.
Yeah, it just dies. Well, that was kind of fun. There's a whole bunch of trivia and stuff online, so I had fun.
Okay, well, I thought for Mother's Day, if you're listening, if you're looking for something you'd like to make, let's say, or maybe you're going out for the meal with your mom, but you want to bring something or gather for dessert, I have an idea for you.
I'm always a fan of brunch.
Brunch, me too.
Mother's Day
Favorite.
brunch, but at home, never out. It's always a mess.
Right? It's not a difficult meal. For,
No.
like, say you're not much of a cook, your family's not used to cooking. You can do brunch quite easily, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just want to have tea, and I have a
Ooh.
cake. That would be great with a nice cup of tea, I think.
Oh, I like that.
Or it might also be good for brunch with a mimosa. Read the room. What kind of mom have you got that you need to, or what kind of mom are you? And maybe you're making it for yourself, or your mom friends, or you're a dog mom, and
Yes.
there are all kinds of moms. Okay, we're not all having
Absolutely.
2 human babies or 9.
Good grief.
This is called a Persian love cake, and it just
Ooh.
sounds really interesting and delicious, in my opinion.
Oh, I am so excited for this because I am on top of all this Turkish, Persian, Iranian. Like I could just go to Mesopotamia right now.
You could.
Transport me there.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay, are you hearing this, Mr. Walker? Take Erin there for Mother's Day.
Right?
Okay, Persian love cake. This is a cake made with, okay, well, I've seen a few different recipes, but the one that I'm going to follow has a combination of almond flour, all-purpose flour, and semolina flour.
Ooh.
I don't actually know what semolina flour is, or how it differs, or why you'd use it. Do you know?
I have semolina flour in my pantry right now, and I believe I've used it in making pasta before because it's like a yellow.
It's mainly used in couscous pastas, sweet puddings. It's a coarsely milled durum wheat.
There's the word.
Durum.
I don't know what durum
But I'm
wheat
not
is.
sure why use this in this cake. Perhaps
Maybe it
I'll
gives it
find
a
out.
nice yellowy color.
Well,
'cause
it is a nice yellow color. That's true. The cake is a beautiful color.
Oh.
That could be. Okay. And then it's flavored with cardamom, rose water. There's olive oil in there. There's 5 eggs. This is going to be and there's almonds. It's going to be a delicious, moist cake. And then you're going to put a syrup on the top. It's one of those cakes where you bake the cake and then you're going to put syrup on it, and it's going to soak in and get nice and moist and gooey and sweet. And again, the syrup is flavored with orange, rose, saffron, and honey.
Ooh.
Doesn't that sound delicious?
I'm trying to put all these flavors together in my mind. I feel like you just put a spoon into my brain and stirred it up. Oh, wow.
I know, it sounds so good. This is why it's been on my list to make. And for some reason I thought, oh, it's so many ingredients I got to go and find. And then I got to, it sounds complicated. It's not complicated. You mix it up, you bake your cake, you make a syrup, you put it on. Like, it's not complicated at all.
Yeah.
And honestly, I found all the ingredients at my local, at the superstore in the, what do they call it? World Foods aisle.
Right.
There's nothing actually in here. It sounds like a whole bunch of random things, but there's actually nothing really hard to find or difficult to use.
I think I have almost all the things that you mentioned in my pantry right now, other than
rose water?
I don't have the rose water, but yeah.
Did you have saffron? I had to go buy more saffron because I didn't have any.
I'm currently out of saffron. It's on my list. And it was out at the grocery store the last couple weeks where I was. So you're lucky to have gotten some.
You know what? I found the threads and the recipe calls for ground, but I'm hoping that I can just grind them up. I have a coffee grinder that I never use for coffee, but I use it for spices all the time.
How many threads are you grinding?
Well, not that many, but I was thinking maybe it won't work. Maybe it's not enough, but I can use mortar and pestle too, I think. Oh,
That's what I usually do.
it's only half a teaspoon of ground
Okay.
saffron.
I usually put it in my mortar and pestle and grind it
Yeah.
before I dump it on my ice cube when I bloom my saffron.
Am I supposed to do that?
Do you bloom it? I don't
Really?
know. Questions.
Questions. And they say just to whisk this whole thing together. So this is not complicated. Oh, and put it in a springform pan and just bake it 30 to 40 minutes. And that's it.
That sounds pretty simple.
Doesn't say anything about blooming.
Yeah,
So
well,
I'm going to go with whatever it says in here because it looks great. So
that sounds
you can
fantastic.
you can adjust the sweetness if you're like, if the syrup seems too sweet, or the good thing about syrup is you can taste that. Like you don't have to
Yes.
worry about tasting. So you can adjust the rose flavor, all the flavors that are in there, you can adjust it. So if you're like, I think it's gonna be too sweet, or I'm not sure about the rose. Rose is a pretty strong, it
Yeah.
can be kind of a strong flavor.
Oh,
I happen to
definitely.
really love it, but if you don't, you can adjust that.
I just told you before this that we bought some Turkish delight at our local Mediterranean shawarma grab and go. We've got a great little place near us, and they had rose flavored Turkish delights.
Mm.
And we bought them without really being like, oh, yeah, that sounds good, because they were pink, really, honestly, is what it came
Yeah.
down to. And we opened it up and took a bite, and we were both like, oh, this tastes like roses. We just made ourselves sick on it because it was so freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this new flavor that has been introduced in the last few days, and now you're making this cake. Like,
And you have to go to Turka. I think it's called Turka Foods near us
Yes.
here. Little cafe restaurant, Turkish food. They don't have Turkish delight that I saw, but they have an amazing rose jam.
ooh,
And if you've ever had simit, it's essentially like a Turkish bagel. It's like their version of kind of a bagel. It looks like a big circular with sesame seeds all over it. And that with the rose jam, simit with the rose jam, I was in heaven. I was like, that's all I want to eat.
oh my god,
So good. And they sell the rose jam there too, but I didn't buy it because I was afraid I would just gobble it up with a spoon. And I was like, no, just calm down. But I may change my mind and go back for it.
you might just go back for it. Oh, I'm gonna go check that out for sure.
Well, now we're going to have a little bit of food. I don't honestly know. It's called Persian Love Cake, but I don't really know the history of it. Maybe I'll see if I can find that out. Or maybe someone just named it that based on the flavors they put into it. Who knows? It's maybe not a traditional cake from anywhere. And someone just loved
True
the
enough.
flavors and put them together and called it that. I have no idea. Not every recipe has like a story to share. But anyway, looking forward to it. And everyone, if those are ingredients you can find nearby, make for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
We'll be back after the break to tell you how it tastes. That's another important part.
Yeah. These all sound great.
Yeah. Sounds
Let's see,
great.
do they really pan out? But I'm sure they will.
We'll see. I'm really excited about it, so I hope it's good.
Hey listeners, I hope you're enjoying this fun episode. Did you know you can find this recipe on our website? We post all the recipes for each episode on threekitchenspodcast.com, and we even include recipes that we're not making for the podcast, just things we make every day in our kitchen. Leave a comment, tell us what you like about the recipe, or what you don't like, or how you zhuzhed it up. You can find the link in our show notes, or type it in, threekitchenspodcast.com.
Okay, my friends, I'm going to tell you how to make Persian love cake. Persian love cake. I don't know who named this cake, but it makes me happy just to say it.
Right?
It's love cake.
Love cake.
And what sounds better than cake that, I don't know, makes you feel love? Sounds great. So we're going to preheat the oven to 350 and then combine, okay, Erin, please edit at this point. Is it ghee or G? Every time I read that word.
I think it's ghee.
Ghee. Okay, please. Okay.
Okay, hold on a sec. Let me I don't wanna be the authority on this. Are you kidding me? Sounds like ghee. G-E-E.
Oh my God, Sarah would just be rolling her eyes so hard at us right now. It's another lychee nut moment. Okay, you just got a big mixing bowl and a whisk. That's all you need to make this cake. I mean, I'm sure if you want to put it in your stand mixer with your whisk attachment, do that too, but I found it It's super quick, just with my big metal whisk and a bowl.
That's
Okay, you've
awesome.
got 6 tablespoons each of ghee and olive oil, and then you're adding a cup of sugar, and you're gonna whip that all up till it's creamy.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're adding 5 eggs. This cake has a lot of eggs.
That's very eggy.
It is, yeah. 5 eggs, one at a time, whisk those in completely, and then a cup of thick Greek style yogurt. And then that's all kind of your wet ingredients. Then you're going to add in your rose water, ground cardamom. That's your flavoring for your cake. You've got 2 tablespoons of rose water and 2 teaspoons of ground green cardamom. Most ground cardamom that you buy is green. So I wouldn't worry
Oh,
about that it's called green.
okay.
Sometimes you see black cardamom, but usually it's the pods. And then you would
Okay.
have to grind them. So if you just buy cardamom, you're like, I don't know what color it is. It's green. In fact, it looks quite green. So I wouldn't worry
Okay.
about it.
Oh, that's good to know.
Your dry ingredients are going to go in one at a time. A cup of almond flour, 3/4 cups of all-purpose
Mm.
flour, and half a cup of semolina flour. So I had super fine almond flour. It was very lumpy. Like,
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
what's with this almond flour, but I sifted the almond flour because when I scooped it out to measure it, I was like, why is this so lumpy? So just sometimes it's nice to sift all-purpose flour anyway, just because I think it mixes in so much nicer.
Yeah.
Semolina is coarse. I don't know how much difference you're going to get if you try to sift it. I put it in the sifter because I had it out and then I was like, meh, and I just dumped it in because it didn't seem to make much difference. It's quite coarse already.
Yeah, it doesn't clump
So,
as much as
yeah.
the other two, right?
And it doesn't really sift easily. You're not going to get it. I don't know. Just don't worry about that one, I'd say. So you mix all that in, then 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a pinch of salt. Sprinkle those on top and whisk those in too. That's it. You've got your cake batter. It's so quick.
That is a really quick batter to whip up.
It is really quick and easy. It's actually not that many ingredients. You have a springform pan, 10-inch springform pan with parchment paper on the bottom.
Okay.
That's what I used. It was in the recipe, but I've also seen them made in bundt pans and it looks really beautiful. And I think that would work too because a
Oh,
bundt pan is
yeah.
like a non-stick
Hmm.
pan. And so I think you could also use that. And then put 3 tablespoons of almonds, sliced almonds on the top. I had slivered almonds. So I'm
Yes.
not sure if that made a difference, but I was like, well, slivered will work because that's what I happen to have. And I put those nice and evenly on top. Well, when I baked it, all the almonds went to the middle of the cake. What? Why? They all migrated down to the middle. I was like, well, yeah, maybe if they were thin,
The
it would
thin
have
sliced ones.
stayed put. I have no idea. Whatever. It just looked funny when I took the cake out and I'm like, all the almonds are in the center. Funny little things.
That's funny because I noticed that when I was eating and I was like, what is this crunchiness that is only here?
You get one bite, the first bite of that little. Yeah.
And then it got you curious, like, well, where are the rest of the crunchy bits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you're going to bake it for 30 to 40 minutes until it is golden on top.
Mm.
And of course, your toothpick or tester comes out clean. I'm pretty sure I baked for the full 40 minutes.
What about the saffron that you mentioned in the first half?
Saffron is coming up. It goes on the
Oh,
syrup that goes on top.
it goes in the syrup. Okay, then
Mhm.
I will retract that statement.
It was a good question. Okay. So while your cake is baking, you can prepare your syrup.
Okay.
Orange juice and honey. Half a cup of honey and 1/3 a cup of orange juice in a small pan on the stove. Get it boiling and then let it simmer. You want to have it all kind of dissolve together, maybe simmer about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Then you stir in rose water and ground saffron. Rose water is 2 tablespoons and half a teaspoon of ground saffron. So I remember I told you I had the threads, which I just
Yes.
ground up with my mortar and pestle. And it's hard to get like everything evenly ground when you're using that. So there were still a few threads kicking around in there, but I actually really like that. I think it looks, when you pour it over the cake, it looks nice because you see the little
Yes.
red threads here and there. So you've taken it off the heat, you've put your rose water and your saffron and 2 tablespoons of pistachios into the syrup. I had whole pistachios. I cracked all my shells and popped
Oh
them out in
man, yeah.
a rough chop. And then you stir them in and kind of, you're letting it sit there in the syrup. You're letting it cool. It's off the heat while your cake finishes. And then when you pull your cake out, when it's all done, you're going to poke a few holes in that cake
Oh,
with a
yeah.
skewer or something so that the syrup can get down into it. And you're going to pour your syrup all over the top of the cake and then just leave it alone, preferably overnight,
Oh, okay, yeah.
or for a few hours. I left mine overnight. I actually let it cool on the countertop completely. Then I just put like plastic over it and I popped it in the fridge overnight. And we ate it
Nice.
the next day. Yeah. Because you really want that syrup to like
And it
soak.
did. So that was really good.
Hmm. You can then, if you want to do an additional like glaze on top. Sometimes you see pictures of a Persian
Oh,
love cake that has like looks like a thin icing, like a glaze. I didn't do that. I just left it as
okay.
is, but I can see how that would also be tasty.
Hmm.
But I would love to know what you think of Persian love cake
I feel loved. It
by
is,
the cake.
I feel loved by the cake.
Mhm.
The flavors in that were fantastic. My husband and I have always really loved cardamom. It's
Mhm.
like one of our favorite spices. I know there used to be a place in town that made a cardamom ice cream,
Oh, yum.
and it was just so good. We put cardamom in our coffee sometimes with our coffee
Mm.
grounds. We are big fans of cardamom over here. So that in the cake with the saffron and the rose, like all of that coming together, like my husband took a bite and he was like, what am I tasting in here? What are all these flavors? Because they were just such a unique combination. And then that rose flavor and
Mhm.
then the saffron, like yeah, it was so pretty having all the bright yellow color of it.
Yeah, I think the semolina made
Yeah,
it kind of yellow, and then the top, kind
and
of
the
the top,
saffron.
yeah, where the syrup sort of soaked in at the top, kind of the top part of the cake,
Yeah,
was a brighter color, and then it kind of faded lighter at the bottom. I don't know. I love the love cake. I thought it was
yeah,
so good.
I really liked that.
I improvised my syrup just a tiny bit because when I bought the rose water, there was also
Okay.
orange blossom water there, and they were
Ooh.
like $2 for a bottle. I was like, well, I'm just gonna buy that too. And I opened it up while I was making my syrup. I opened it up and smelled it, and I was like, oh my, like I need to use this. It smells so good. I'm like, is orange juice enough? And I tasted my syrup, and I was like, I think we can boost this just a little bit. So I put like a tablespoon of orange blossom water in there as well because I wanted to like, I really like that orange flavor in there.
Hmm.
I don't think it's necessary if you don't have it, but
Yeah.
I just love the combination of the orange, the rose, the cardamom, the saffron. I think it's like genius
All the
combination of
flavors go
flavors.
together in like a really well-rounded way. Like you're
Hmm.
hitting all the flavor
Yeah,
palette
and not one gets
thingies.
lost.
No, that's the interesting part of it,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask because I haven't ever purchased rose water. Did you taste it by itself, or how
No, I
strong is
didn't.
that rose?
The smell is very strong.
It is really okay. So I
Hmm.
assume then if the smell's strong, the flavor would be strong too. Because yeah, I've never, this rose thing is like,
It's such an interesting flavor, and it's one of my kids liked the cake. He's not going to ask for it for his birthday, he said, but he liked it,
yeah.
which means it's okay. The other took a bite and was like, I don't really like it. And I think it was the rose. He said it's too strong. And I think
Ah,
it was the rose flavor. Like you either are going to love that
yeah.
or you're going to be like, because it is floral. Like
It's
it's weird. It's a weird taste,
very,
right?
very floral. And I remember this with like, because we had that Turkish delight that was just
Hmm.
rose. And as soon as I bit into it, it was like, this tastes like roses,
Which is so
which
strange.
is this weird thing. And as I chewed it, I was like, huh, huh, huh. Like it just got, as you kind of like got your brain to flop around the concept, then it was like, oh, this tastes really good. And then couldn't stop eating
Hmm.
it. And I think that rose flavor with the saffron too.
Hmm.
Like I feel like those two really complemented each other because the saffron has such like an earthy flavor to it. Like I
Yeah.
don't know how to describe it other than like fancy dirt. Like like it has a very earthy flavor. That's what, because we've talked about saffron in the past and what
Hmm.
does saffron taste like. This is what I've decided it tastes like is fancy dirt.
That's as good a description as any, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It has that earthy. It's like it makes me think of beets. Like it makes
Yes,
me think of
yeah.
that earthy root vegetable kind of
Now I'm
flavor.
thinking of Sarah's husband saying, earthy, Hemingway, earthy.
Pre-Hemingway.
Oh, pre-Hemingway. I don't even
And
remember what that was from.
that was for the yams, for the ube that I made, right? Like,
That's a similar type thing. Yeah.
right? Like all these earthy flavored things. And then I think the saffron works into it. And it's like you've got the earthiness of the saffron, you've got the floral piece from the rose water, and then
And
you've
the
got the
sweetness
spice.
of the orange. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then the spice from the cardamom, which is kind of like a seed. Like it's like you're eating a whole plant.
Yeah.
Do I sound like a nut bar right now? Anyone else?
Listeners, feel free to comment.
Feel
Does she
free
sound like a
to,
nut bar? Or
am
are you
I-
with us on this?
Yeah, like
Do you want to make a Persian love cake because all of this sounds amazing? Maybe.
that's what I think. Like you're getting the bark spice, you're getting the earthiness, you're getting the floral, you're getting the sweet. It's almost
Mhm.
like when you eat like a honeysuckle or like flowers that have like that sweet, like I know my kids go around sucking.
Clover, the
Yeah.
little bit from the clover. Oh, yeah.
It even made me start thinking. I was walking down in the park past all the poplars, which are dumping all of their
Oh,
sappy bits,
yeah.
and it sticks to everything, but it also has that like overwhelmingly sweet smell.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to my husband last night, I was like, I wonder if you could like make this flavor into something. Like this sap would be kind of
Is it edible?
interesting. I'm not going to pick it off the pathways, I'll tell you that.
No.
But it was just like that really sweet smell, and it made me, because my senses have been like awoken by this cake, I feel like I'm like
Nice.
I'm seeking these floral sweet kind of, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's this new thing in my palate.
Well, it was interesting too because I expected, rose hips, like the ones we pick here in the summer, the Alberta wild roses that grow here, and we
Our provincial flower.
yes, and you can pick the rose hips off
Yes.
there
Mm-hmm.
and I've made jam with them. It's not the
Yes.
same rose flavor, I don't think. I was trying to remember.
No. Yeah, that's a different flavor.
It's a different flavor.
Rose hip like flavor. And I'm trying, that's not a floral
Yeah.
flavor at all.
No, it's not floral, which is so interesting because I sort of, even though I've eaten rose, I just ate that rose jam last week at the Turkish cafe, and that is what this is, the Persian
Mhm.
rose cake. But it's different. So if you're thinking rose hips like we've got here, it's not the same.
That's very true.
Interesting, right?
Very cool.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
many cool thoughts.
I love this cake.
I love the love cake.
I will definitely make it again.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll even get to the store and buy the dried rose petals that I had initially planned to use as like a garnish.
Well, now I have a feeling I'm going to be buying those dried rose petals regardless, because this rosy floral flavor is like, yeah.
I think you could even, like, if you have a favorite pound cake recipe, this is similar to a pound cake.
Yeah,
If
totally.
you have a favorite pound cake that's like your tried and true and you love it, you could adapt that and use these sort of flavors and make it your own version if you
Yeah.
want. You could also just make this cake because it's super easy. But if you make, like, let's say you don't have the 3 flours and you want to just keep it simple and do your
Mhm.
pound cake that you love, put some of these flavors in there, make a nice glaze with these yummy. It'd be
Yeah,
so
I
good.
think everyone should have more rose. Or if you've never tried it, go out and try this, because it's definitely something that's new to my palate very recently. Like all of this just kind of like bombarded me in the last week. So I'm loving I'm loving all this.
And it's a cheap ingredient. Like that rose water was $2 for a bottle at the superstore. So,
Yeah.
you don't have to go hunt high and low to find it.
No, that's true.
I think like a beautiful rose cupcake with like a pink buttercream on top or something like a,
With a few little petals flaked on there.
yes, is this not perfect for Mother's Day?
Yeah.
Show your love, whether it's for your mother or you're the mother and you want, you just want it because it's good. I don't know. I don't have a mom to to treat on Mother's Day, but I can treat myself.
Right? There you go.
Yeah.
I'm a
Whatever
mom
works.
and I deserve it.
Exactly. Make it for your mom friends. They'll love it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just buy her the roses, eat the roses.
Yeah, those roses will just die. This will live forever on your hips. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care if it does.
That's okay. I'm eating it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for making this for us, Heather. You busted this out right at the right time.
I agree. And now for the fine print. Join us over on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website at threekitchenspodcast.com. And remember, when you like, follow, subscribe, and review, it helps more people find us. Thank you so much for listening. And happy Mother's Day to all you Canadian moms who are celebrating.
Yes, and happy Mother's Day, Heather.
And to you, Erin.
Thank you.